validate their product ideas instead of spending too much time on working on low value stuff. I'm working in a company called Moongascade, which is currently a certified Google Cloud partner, and that's basically my field of topics that I'm working on at the moment.
All right. Thank you very much for being with us today on the Startup Breakfast, and thank you very much, Asko. See you on the Startup World Cup.
Yeah, and thank you too for calling me.
Well, hello, Tommy.
Hello.
Can I ask you to give us some background info of what do you do and what are you?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know to answer myself as well. So basically, I do pretty much everything that's what concerns startups. I help startups. I invent and discover some stuff that can help startups with different things like go-to-market, fundraising, and that sort of stuff. And have different projects going on in Finland and elsewhere, and also working sort of like a background, well, like a shadow CEO for a few companies, helping them evolve and so forth. So been pretty much everything that where I see that I have value in, I try to help.
Speaking of projects, I know that you work in Golden Gateway.
Yeah.
And I know that you, together in cooperation with Business Tampere, are starting this Nordic Startup School soonish.
Yeah.
So what's it will be about?
Well, the short background for that was that I really seen that the level of the Finnish entrepreneurs is not even close to good enough. So I've been like coaching and mentoring them one by one, but I decided that would be nice to do it on a bigger scale. So I introduced the Business Tampere, my idea, like 6 months ago, and eventually they had to go through the process to actually find someone to deliver the whole concept, because they can't just buy it just like that. And eventually, after all the proposals were in, they decided that they could start working with me. And hopefully now the goal is that we have one class of startups every 6 months, and now is the first batch starting about a month from now, and hopefully everything goes well, and then we improve, and then we're going to have another one just before Slush. And like I said, the goal is to improve the skill set of the entrepreneur about all possible things that they need to evolve and grow, because at the moment the Finnish companies are not growing even nearly fast enough and are not ambitious enough and so forth. So that's something that we want to work on.
Okay, and what do you generally feel is the main challenge for early stage startups nowadays in Finland?
Well, you could say that ambition and courage are two things that are, well, they're not completely missing, but there isn't enough. Then how do you exactly grow from 1 million to 5, 10 and 100? That's really the pain point. So it's quite a few companies go to 1 or 2 million, and after that, when they leave abroad, then things start to fall apart and they don't really succeed as they would like to, and eventually they just settle for a few millions and eventually exit, or something like that happens. So that's one of the key points that why the startup school has started, because we want to help with the key issues like recruiting and growth overall, sales in certain countries, because we Finnish people, even if we know how to make sales here in Finland, we don't know how to do it abroad, especially in the US. We just go there and think that we can do it, but I have seen that it pretty much never works.
I know that you're quite active in co-working with Business Tampere, if I can put it this way.
Yeah. Well,
basically, my question is, what kind of help can nowadays platforms like Business Tampere or Tribe Tampere provide for startups?
Well, I think that the whole ecosystem is really important. I think that I'm more or less on the later phase of the startup, like when the startup has established themselves and has already some customers and so forth. But the ecosystem pretty much does the same thing that what I think that was lacking, the courage and the ambition, and just to make people more friendly about startups overall, and see entrepreneurship as one way to push their career as well, and And like I said, overall, make this startup phase early on from idea to actually setting up the company as easy as possible. Have the people and mentors help there so they don't make really big mistakes early on and so forth. I see that that's really the key thing that, well, Business Tampere and other similar organizations could do.
Okay, and speaking of keys, in your opinion, what is the key to success for a startup? Is there anything besides courage, let's say?
I could say that one key thing is knowing how to make the early sales and really do the customer development right, because I've seen so many companies do the same mistake about sort of like the solution is looking for a problem. So we really like to do things, but eventually when we actually have to find customers for the thing that we have developed, that's going to be harder. But when you do it together with the customers and talk with the customers really early on, then it makes the sales and everything so much easier. So I would still say sales overall and customer development.
Do you think that these can be learned during projects like Nordic Startup School?
Yeah, that's actually one of the key things that we want to help. It's nothing new there. Sort of like lean startup ways of working and making the product and sales and everything. It's not that complex, but still, like when we Finnish people are shy and quite introvert, we still like to be in our caves and develop our stuff and not talk to anybody except when we have to, because we won't get money otherwise if we don't make any sales.
Okay, what are the, if I can ask you to name a few other events you're currently in?
Not really events that much. Well, the Nordic Startup School is one thing, but there's also one thing that we're gathering a syndicate and network of Finnish backgrounded people back in the US and setting up investor syndicate that would actively help Finnish companies and Finnish entrepreneurs that want to make sales and succeed in the US, because that's really something that I really rarely see happen. And the network and expertise and the funding that the network would provide pretty much should help a lot and also decrease all the things that are currently hard, like making the first sales, attracting the necessary capital to actually go there and so forth. So that takes some of my time, and of course the Nordic Startup School and then the other companies that I'm working on. So there's a lot of work, and I'm pretty surprised that I still have to I've been able to manage everything.
On behalf of Tribecast team, we're especially grateful for you to having some time for us for an interview today. And probably I have one last question. Summarizing all you have just said, is it a good time nowadays to start a business of your own in Finland? Or is it some kind of, slow point where you wouldn't recommend people to jump into it?
Well, I could say that it's never, there's never a good time really, because it's hard, and working in a startup still is much harder than people expect really. And I've seen so many people come there, work in a startup, and eventually they just notice that, okay, this is just too much for me, because there's so much pressure and there's so much things to do and there's a lot of work. Then, because especially in Finland, because we really emphasize the family life and other parts of life so much, and being in a startup is really consuming. And like I said, there's never a good time to start a startup, but still I would recommend people to do it eventually, because it gives so much, and you learn so much when you're in a startup. You can never learn in a corporation in that sort of time so much what you can do in a startup. But like I said, it's a tricky question. Yes and no, both.
So you learn even if you fail?
Yeah, definitely. I think that when you fail, you learn more than when you actually succeed, because when you succeed, you might be lucky, the time might be good. There's so many things that can be helping you, but when you just push and fail and you notice that, okay, these things were what we did wrong, that's something that you can actually learn from. And I really like the saying that once you're lucky, twice you're good. So anybody can be lucky once, but when they do it twice or more times, then they can actually say that they're good.
Thank you, Tommy, for being with us today. This was Tommy Terentiev.
Thank you.
And now we're having Alexandra Santos with us.
Hello.
Alexandra.
Hello, hello.
Alexandra, can you tell us a few things about your background? Can you share what are you and where do you come from and what do you do now, basically?
Story of my life in a few minutes. So I'm Alexandra Santos. I come originally from Portugal. I've been in Finland now for 14 years. Been doing a bit of different things, mostly like quality assurance and software testing, doing a Nokia and Microsoft before, doing some freelancing after, and kind of been part of Tribe Tampere community since it started, doing event production here and lately doing business development.
In a few words, what is Tribe community nowadays?
I think the concept of Tribe has evolved since the moment that kind of we opened our doors 1.5 years ago. I think now Tribe is a network of connections of people of different communities, like a community of communities, different players that are cooperating in the ecosystem, all under kind of the same umbrella.
Tribe as a community and you personally will be taking part in Tribex, which is the nearest biggest event. And can you open up for our listeners what is it about and what do we expect?
Tribex was a concept that we came out last year. We wanted to create a space where startups and investors could actually meet and have meaningful connections. Small event, max 50 people, that you hear maybe some founder stories, you hear some important sessions or important matters that funding or matters like that. And we decided that, doing it every 3 to 4 months in order to engage the community. And we have now done 3 editions of Tribex. We're now going for the 4th edition. And we are quite pleased that with the reception of the event, people start recognizing the brand. And this time we're going to be back to Pakahuone, so we're going to do it a bit bigger again. So we are very excited about that.
I've always wanted to ask, where does the name Tribex come from and what does it mean?
We just had a brainstorming session because I think Tribex is actually the only event that it's really just Tribe Tampere owned. And we're just playing with terms, and we're just coming out with names and it just came Tribex. The tribe and the X, maybe a bit like TEDx, I don't know, but it just came out of the meeting, the name Tribex, and it kind of sticked, people embraced. Then our trademark is the X. So in a nutshell, it just came out of a brainstorming session, but I think it works really well. So people associate it with Tribe, but they understand it it's a separate event.
Okay, does Tribex has some kind of main theme?
We changed the themes. So we have been, I think the first Tribex was on failure. We wanted kind of open to the first Tribex for people to understand that not only you should hear about the success stories from startup founders, but as well the failures. Everybody fails and we just need to be more open about it. That's how people grow. It's by learning from their failures. And the last other 2 Tribex, they were more focused on funding matters. We had syndication talking about different kind of fundings, like angel versus VC funding. What are the differences?
Right. Can one only take part as a visitor in Tribex, or is there some kind of possibility to be part of the event volunteering?
Yeah, you can be part of the team. We actually have at the moment the volunteer application open. It's open for more. It's open until the 15th, so Friday end of day. And so you get a bit behind the scenes on how to actually make a startup event. If you want to participate, we have the tickets on sale. €10 for the early bird and then 15 with normal price. And you can get the early bird until the 20th of February.
Are there any specific requirements for a volunteer?
The volunteer tasks are mainly to support during the event, constructing the venue area. We're going to have the event in Pakahuone, so which is actually a large venue in Tampere, and just basic assistance with the registration,